I'm George Wrighster. He's Ralph Amsden, and this is the College Football Apostles. And we got a lot to talk about today. Now, we got to talk a little bit about Arch Manning. And in the comments, Texas fans have not been expressively happy because they're like, you're talking about our guy. Well, can he live up to this hype? And he's got a new Red Bull deal that absolutely contradicts everything that he said. I'm not mad at him, but Ralph is. Now there is a new lawsuit when it comes to the NCAA, the Diego Pavia JuCo thing, but now it's for Division II players. How would this impact everything? And will this settlement ever get finished? I say no. The ACC releases its schedule. This impacts Notre Dame. This impacts their TV contract with ESPN. And also, uh, they are not playing on Saturdays as much as they need to be playing on Saturday. And there a list came out from On3 of the top returning quarterbacks for 2025, and we got to dive into that. And Michigan responds to the Connor Stallions allegations. They're fighting back. That and more here on the College Football Apostles. Make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend about the show. Let's get to it. All right, we got to start with that boy, Arch. Oh, listen, Arch is the most anticipated, the most hyped up college quarterback that we've had probably since like Trevor Lawrence. And now Trevor Lawrence, Andrew Luck, all of those, and now, and we talked on the other show about can he live up to that hype? But now he has done something that has rubbed Ralph the wrong way. Now, if we go back to last year when the NCAA game was getting ready to come out during this time, all the college players are signing their rights away for like $600, a free copy of the game. And obviously, some people negotiated higher deals. And I remember Arch Manning said he's not doing it because he wants to focus on football. And what did I say then, Ralph?
That he was lying.
Yes. And that he was going to
Made
be
a
in the
whole
game.
video about it.
Yes. And that he was going to get a big bag. I told you I knew what was going to happen. So I don't even know why you're upset about this.
That was corny. This is corny. He's
Okay.
corny. Ugh.
So here is what Ralph feels is corny. So he's got a new NIL deal. This time it's with Red Bull. And he says, quote, I'm focused on playing football. That's what I love to do. I'm not here to do NIL deals. Those are extracurricular, but I'd like to drink a Red Bull every now and then. What's the problem with this?
The fake humility.
I,
The
I
fake humility. I'm not here to do NIL deals. Buddy, your recruiting trip cost $250,000.
isn't he being, but is there a world, Ralph, that you're being overly sensitive and he is being cheeky here, as our friends across the pond would say? Isn't he trying to make a joke right here?
What's the joke?
I'm
What's
not
the
here to
joke?
do NIL deals, even though I have hella NIL deals.
Well, this
Dude,
is this is like this is some like federal politician level gaslighting, red meat for the masses of college football fans with purchasing power, the blue hairs, the old people who hate NIL. So you throw them this bone and saying like, "Hey, I don't like it either, but I'll drink a Red Bull and you should too." Shut up. Shut up. You're so stupid. I
Ralph,
can't.
Ralph,
Oh,
he is do you understand that the Manning family is about that bread? Like, you know that.
of
Peyton's about his
course. And
bread.
there's no problem with it.
Eli's about his bread.
There's no
Archie's
problem
about
with
their
it.
bread.
There's no
So,
problem with it. I told you that I didn't like what, and you didn't either. You didn't either at the time. I don't know why I'm so much more annoyed than you at this point. Maybe it's because you were right and you like being right. You get off on it. You gotta, I mean, a lot of people got a kink for being right, but I just, dude, this kid is getting on my nerves. it's one thing that a lot of the recruiting rankings were driven by his last name. We know that. Because if he was the number one, like if he was who he says he is, he would have been playing. Not if he was who he says he is. If he was who everybody that matters says he is, that gave him that fifth star, that said he's going to be a first round pick, he would have played as a freshman or a sophomore more than just garbage time or in a case of injury, which means we got to admit something about Quinn Ewers that maybe we're not willing to admit, that he was
Or
better than Arch Manning was. Better.
here is what
And
the
that's a
Texas
completely
people will
separate
tell
issue.
you, Ralph. Sark wasn't gonna bench Ewers. He's loyal to him. He's
Oh yeah,
doing the
super
right
loyal.
thing by Quinn Ewers. That's
They
what
ask
Texas fans will
Washington
tell you.
fans how loyal Steve Sarkisian is.
What do you mean?
Did he not leave for a check?
Yeah.
Look, who cares? Who cares? None of this stuff matters. What bothered me about the NCAA thing is the implication to his teammates who did opt in that they're not focused on football. And he's a backup. He's a backup out here issuing a statement that makes him talking like a starter. Hate to quote Drake right before Kendrick performs in the Super Bowl, but bench players talking like starters. I hate it. So it was already the implication that if you accepted a deal with NCAA, you weren't focused on football. It was a very dumb thing to do. And a lot
Yes.
of college kids,
Yes. It
they
was
don't have time to take offense to something like that, but I do. I found it
see,
offensive and stupid. You
Ralph,
made a
you
video
are
about
one
it. And now he's saying that, like, hey, I'm not here to do NIL deals. Then don't take them. Then don't.
Ralph, you are 100% right. Let me explain this. You are 100% right. That him doing that yes, that him saying that I'm focused on football and all of that stuff. And I told you that it was a ploy to get more money. It was a negotiating tactic, and it was also to and either that or it was to generate some buzz surrounding Arch, right? And then knowing that they were going to circle back and do this whole campaign about him in the game after.
Why
I
lie?
either I mean, but that would be a lot of doing for a backup, which
Why
he was
lie?
going to be last year. But here's the thing is I don't know. I don't believe that they were intending on necessarily him being a backup all year. That because remember what I told you that was coming out of Texas was
Yes, you
that
did say that.
was that Ewers was the guy. However, if he didn't play well, and that Arch would play in the first few games, some, and that if he didn't beat Michigan or if he looked bad in any of those games, then there could be a takeover. And Arch's stats, pull up Arch's stats for us, Ralph.
No, that what he has like 8 touchdowns against Citadel. He
Well,
played one meaningful game. I'm not pulling up. Why do I got to pull up a backup stats?
who did he
I'm
play? He
focused on
played
this
against
show. I'm not
Mississippi
here to pull
State.
up a
Who
backup
else?
stats. I'm focused on this show. See, because you can only focus on one thing at a time. That's why I'm so mad at Arch. The old boomers believe some of the dumbest, they cling to some of the dumbest beliefs, and they're going to die with these dumb beliefs. Kids are feeding into them. Like the idea that you can only focus on football. This is the type of thing that makes Lions fans blame Ben Johnson for taking an interview when he had 2 weeks to prepare for a football game.
Yeah.
Arch Manning
Okay.
is feeding some
All
of the
right.
dumbest
All right.
ideas we have in our society, which is that if you accept a check, you can't focus on football. Well, then
Okay.
how do they
All
go to
right,
school
Ralph.
and focus
All
on
right,
football?
Ralph. I got you here. Everybody listening to this, I got you. I got you. So, Ralph, so you're annoyed with Arch Manning, right?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay. So,
This is the most annoyed I've been with an athlete since Brady Quinn did those Myoplex commercials where he's trying to be a bodybuilder and he's like, now I'm done.
yeah.
Like that,
Okay.
that's been 20 years. And I still think about that commercial every single day. That's how dumb this quote is about this Red Bull deal.
Okay, cool. So Arch is getting his check, and that's and you don't like the wording surrounding it. So
No.
how about this? Because the list of the most impactful potential quarterbacks for next season came out, and your boy is leading the list. Oh boy, your boy
Ugh,
Sam Levitt.
ugh,
Hey,
ugh.
I
Rat
bet you don't
poison.
hate this.
No, I do hate it. That's rat poison. You and I had a private phone conversation 2 days ago about the dangers of overhyping Sam Levitt. And then On3 comes out with a list, putting him like, what is he, like 8 spots above Kate Klubnik or something?
Yes, bro. Here's the
What?
thing. So
I hate
I
this.
believe that Sam Levitt, dude, the effusive praise for Sam Levitt,
People,
it is.
people have only
I
watched
hate
people have
this.
only watched one game.
Correct.
Two
I
maybe.
hate this. And it's not that I think the kid sucks because I don't. I believe he got progressively better last year where he couldn't throw the ball well in the beginning of the season. He got better and better. And I do believe the kid is a good quarterback. However, Arizona State's season last year was such an outlier from what reasonable expectations were that it feels like anything short of a playoff appearance is a letdown for this season. And I don't think Arizona State is going to make the playoff for a second year in a row. I think that Cam Scatterbo and this season were absolute magic. Do I believe that they'll win somewhere in between like 8 and 10 games? Yes. Do I need to see them in the spring in the portal? Yes. But I think this team will win in between 8 and 10 games this year, which would still mean Kenny Dillingham is way ahead of schedule, way on the right track, all of those things. But Sam Levitt being number one on this list is rat poison.
Do you have the list up on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I want to do a little thought exercise with you. Okay, because this list is egregious.
Okay.
And the thing that sticks out really is the Sam Levitt thing because
Okay. So
um
let me give the list first to the
okay,
people who are listening on
audio,
audio.
of course.
So you
Yeah.
got Sam Levitt one, Drew Aller two. Drew Aller should probably be number one on this list. Um, And no, I'm saying based upon what
All
he's done.
right.
Actually, Kate Klubnik should probably
Keep it
be number
rolling.
one
Keep it
on this
rolling
list.
because I got something for you.
Okay.
I got something for you at the
So
end.
Sam Levitt one, Drew Aller two, DJ Lagway three, Arch Manning four, Garrett Nuss. I'm sorry, Lenora Sellers five. Damn, he could be number one too. Garrett Nussmeyer six, Carson Beck seven. He should be 13. Kate Klubnik eight, John Mateer nine, and Nico E. Amalava number seven. I mean number 10.
Okay, are you ready?
Okay.
Flip it. If you flip this, I have not many problems with it. And I know it's predictive. I know it's somebody's opinion. I know it's meant to start discussion, but you shouldn't come out with a list where someone says reverse it completely and it will make more sense.
Yeah. If you put Nico one,
I wouldn't
that
argue
would
with that.
mean that he made a jump, but he played in a lot of meaningful games. And then John Mateer at two, I definitely do not hate that because
No.
John Mateer at two, John Mateer was the best quarterback available in free agency this year. Period.
Yeah.
Probably the
Yeah.
best player available. Period.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, and I think Lenora Sellers could be higher. But based upon what they did and their team accomplishment last year, I would either put Cade Klubnik one or Drew Aller one. And then John Mateer two. I'm actually super excited about DJ Lagway. I would put, for safety's sake, I would put Sam Levitt in the middle. And then Carson Beck would be 10. Nussmeyer would be like 9. Arch would be 8. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay. And now I know a couple of these guys moved in. Well, one of them. In what world, on what planet will 6 of the top 10 quarterbacks in any given season be in the SEC? In what world? And that's including Carson Beck leaving. So technically 7, or I guess you could go back to 6 because John Mateer came from Washington State or whatever. But 6 of the top 10 quarterbacks in any given season being from the SEC, never going to happen.
Ralph, you just pointed out a genius point, bro. So you got DJ Lagway, Arch Manning, Lenora Sellers, Garrett Nussmeyer, John Mateer, and Nico Eambalava from the same damn conference. Come on, bro. Stop it. Stop it. I mean, I guess there was a year where the Pac-12 did have like damn near all the best quarterbacks
Yeah,
in
but
the
that doesn't
country.
happen in the SEC. Like it just does. Like with not everybody has moved on to that style of
You know
football.
who's not on this list? That absolutely. On one hand, I'm happy that he's not on this list. He's not on the preseason Heisman list. None of this. But the dude that might be better than all of these dudes on the list,
Dante Moore.
Dante Moore. People have completely forgotten about the kid because he transferred from UCLA. Even some Oregon fans have said, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do at quarterback?" I'm like, bro, the sentiment surrounding Oregon is the exact same way it was. I think it was in 2010 when I was in Arizona at the Fiesta Bowl, the national championship that Oregon was gonna play against Auburn, and they told me, they said, I was talking to the coaches. I was like, man, win or lose, bro, we're going to be back next year. Darren Thomas is going to be back at quarterback. And they were like, whoa, slow down. I was like, what are you talking about? He's taking the team to a Rose Bowl in a damn national championship. What do you? I was like, is he going to the NFL? He shouldn't. They were like, nah, bro, we got this kid on the bench named Marcus Mariota. I was like, okay, so I was like, a freshman? They were like, yes, bro. They're like, so he's probably going to be our starter because Darren's not going to want to obviously compete for his job or potentially lose his job, but we think he's better.
Yeah, I on this list for me, there's no Eli Holstein,
Yes,
which
why is Eli Holstein not on this list?
yeah, and then if we're just planning for guys that you know
I would
probably going
throw
to blow
Carson
up,
Beck off this list for Eli Holstein in a heartbeat.
Julian Sayin also, like you look at the situation he's going to go into, you got to say like
I don't
it's
think we can put him
possible.
on the list because we have not seen a single solitary like throw from him, have we?
No, but if we're going to say people that we've seen like go off, um, poor man's John Mateer as far as what he produced and where he produced it last year. You've got Devin Dampier going to
Ooh,
Utah. Like
over at Utah. Yep.
yeah, I don't know. There's just and then think about how far our guy at Arizona has fallen. Or they're just saying without T Mac he's
Noah Fafita. Yep.
yeah. Without T Mac, he's nothing. But I don't know. As the list as it stands, if you reversed it, it would be a lot more digestible for me.
We got to
But
make
when
our
you
own
put
list.
somebody in a
We got to
number
make our own
one
list.
spot, you said, you don't think Arizona State's going to make the college football playoff in 2025, 2026. But that's the expectation if you say they have the best returning quarterback in the country.
Yes. Yes. I do believe that Utah is going to win the conference, the Big 12.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that'll be, man, that would piss Big 12 fans off so
To
much.
have Arizona State and then Utah
And
come
then
back to
Utah.
back and win. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just what I believe is going to happen. All right. Next thing up. Okay, so eligibility matters. And D2, well, we already know about the Diego Pavia lawsuit. So the Diego Pavia lawsuit essentially made JuCo players their JuCo years not count because when they transfer to Division 1, they have all their eligibility left because JuCo's like a disco with books. It is good for people. It is like, especially if you're on an academic path, college is very expensive. It's actually a very smart and affordable way to go to college. Like it is like there's nothing. So I'm in no way, shape, form, or fashion like minimizing JUCOs because they are important. Aaron Rodgers went to a JUCO. There's a lot of people who've gone to JUCOs. It also is not the level of football that's going to prepare you for the next level. So I'm not mad at the Diego Pavia rule, but the Division 2 players are now saying, "What about us? What about us?" Because we should get that same treatment when we transfer up to Division 1. Now, I don't share that same opinion, Ralph. I
And to be
believe that
super clear, the JuCo lawsuit hasn't done anything yet other than make the NCAA back off for 1 year on guys who would have graduated in 2025, right?
once you give an inch there, it's that
Okay.
inch can it's like I saw a Cat Williams special. He was like, as you get older, have you ever noticed that when you put on that you can't put on 10 pounds when you're 20 in your 20s, 5 pounds, you're like, oh my God, I had to take a dump. But then when you get in your 40s, you put on 10 pounds, you look, it ain't going nowhere. It's stuck with you for life at that point. That's the way it is with the NCAA. Every time they lose an inch, it's like losing an inch with your kids. You lose an inch with
Never
them,
getting it back.
that inch is gone.
Yeah. Okay, so you anticipate this but as far as it goes right now,
It's
it's
a
just an
1 year thing.
emergency injunction for a 1 year thing. That's why Diego Pavia gets to come back to Vanderbilt. I noticed he wasn't on that list, on
You
that top 10
you had a
quarterback
1 year
list.
injunction also for the transfer portal. You had injunctions
Yeah,
for all of that too.
yeah.
Every inch lost is an inch gone. It
But to be
says what
very
what was that
clear,
quote? Don't let people borrow money unless you intend not to get it back. If you can afford not to
right.
get it back, then you should let them borrow it.
So, but to be really clear, NCAA is different than the NCJAA or whatever, or the one that's based out of California, or NJCAA. There's two different JUCO associations. Neither one of them are affiliated with the NCAA
Correct.
at all.
Correct. Where Division 2 is
Is
affiliated with the
yeah.
NCAA. So yeah, it's not the same thing to me. And yes, I know that everybody wants more time, more opportunities, but I you know, at
So
some
this is
point in
and this
time,
is a Wisconsin kid. This is a Wisconsin kid that filed this lawsuit that would get one more year. Nazir Forkurian,
yes.
and he played at Grand Valley State and wants another year at Wisconsin.
Hell, I would want another year at Wisconsin too. That's another year of NIL money, another year of free tuition, and another year of an opportunity to be good enough to go to the NFL. I don't blame him for wanting another year.
Do you
But
think the NCAA should throw Wisconsin a bone after what just happened with
oh, with
the DB
Miami,
that the DB that everyone knew wanted to go to Miami, and Darren Heitner helped him back out of. He just unenrolled from Wisconsin after they wouldn't grant his entry into the portal, and enrolled at Miami,
yep,
to show that the transfer portal actually isn't real.
yeah. Like you don't even need to hop in the transfer portal to transfer and be eligible. You just got to enroll in school, disenroll, and then re-enroll in school. So I don't think that Ralph. I don't believe that Division 2 athletes should be able to, when they transfer to Division 1, get an extra year for or years for those years that they were there. I believe that you earned your way up, that you did all of those things, but there's got to be a clock on these things, right?
Yeah.
Like there has to be a clock, and we have already seen with that additional COVID year how that impacted, and then players who had to sit out that year got another year on top of that year. Dude, like we got dudes on there that aren't even medicals that are on like year 7 in college football that didn't even get a medical year. So I do believe that that play five that you get 5 to play 5 is fine with me. Like I think that that's probably the answer. The way we're not worried about red shirts and all of that stuff, bro. You get 5 to play 5, and then in rare circumstances, we'll grant you another year. That's all I got for you.
I think University of Phoenix should start a team because it's adult learning institution.
Oh my God! So that, bro, do you know the pool of
We
players
should
that they
get
can pull
we should
from?
get like a 23 to 26 league.
Yeah. Hey, because you know what? Then the next lawsuit is going to be kids who go
Eligibility
to
is fake.
FCS schools.
Oh,
Tr-
that would be so brutal.
you don't think that would be the next step?
Oh, I definitely think it is, but D1 to D1 or any transfer or just people should leave whenever they want to, or because
Bro,
technically
that is
full
going to be
time.
the next thing. It is going to be F somebody's going to file a lawsuit. I want my FCS years back because I transferred to the FBS. Then it's going to be, all right, man, I went from group of 5 to power 5. I need another year.
Well, and
Bro, it's got to
technically,
stop somewhere.
yeah,
At some point in time. Now, I tell the kids all the time, you are supposed to be open minded. You are supposed to care about people. You are supposed to listen to their plight, try to solve, like, you're supposed to be open minded. But do not be so open minded that your brains fall out.
yeah. So this is going to be the worst comparison of all time. Look forward to you having a new college football apostles co-host after this one. But if you read history books, right? If you read history books, there was like probably a 70, 80-year period where America's greatest men and thinkers and orators and politicians were all and even people who were slave
Oh,
owners
I'm
were
waiting on this one. Okay.
but they were all kind of in unison of like, yeah, you're right, slavery's probably bad, but if we free everybody, then we have to figure out everything else, right? We got
Oh,
to
then we
figure out.
have to figure out how to get the labor and pay for the labor and do all of these things with
Mhm.
free people.
But so they went generations past when they all pretty much knew that it had to come to an end, and
Oh,
because
yes, yes. They keep kicking the can down the street, and they're like, "Oh, well, we'll let the kids worry about that one."
right, and that I so that but the NCAA for the longest time they knew eventually they were going to get taken to court, they're going to get their clock cleaned, and then they
Yeah.
were going to have to deal with every single other issue, and it's starting to seem like just a will to not deal with the obvious issues and lines we've drawn in
Oh,
college
can we
football than it
can we
was to
talk
defend
about that?
amateurism.
So the House settlement that was approved. My son, who's in college, sent me the link for you to apply for that money, right? And how much you're gonna get and everything else. Like, there are players that I know that played during that time. They're anticipating $50,000 checks, $100,000 checks, all sorts of stuff, right? Like, I've seen kids that are anywhere between like $600 and 100,000 based upon the calculation in the settlement thingy. The settlement's not approved. They have until Friday, the 31st, for all objections to be in. There are already like 13 or 14 objections in already. Ralph, there is unless they just march forward and are like middle finger to everybody, this thing is not getting approved. There are new lawsuits keep coming up every 36 seconds. There are so many problems. There are Title IX problems with the revenue sharing, with the past payments. Why does it only stop here? Why doesn't it go first? Dude, it is an avalanche of nonsense. It would be much better for the NCAA to do what people do in life when they have just effed up everything. File bankruptcy. File bankruptcy.
Start over.
Like they need to essentially file Chapter 11 and close down the whole business and reopen under a different name with different rules and like just start it over instead of keep putting these dumbass band-aids on everything. St- Ball it up, throw it in the trash, start over. That's the
Or
only answer.
take a cue from the American government and put a chaos agent in charge who just changes the rules every 15 seconds. So all you have is people just begging for a normal day. Like that I honestly don't know what the NCAA is going to do. And one of the worst things is it's giving credence to these people saying that NIL ruined college football. No, the NCAA ruined college football by not acting 30 years ago
Yep.
when they started to allow coaches to take checks directly from apparel companies. When
Yep.
you allowed everyone to get rich except for the labor force. And then you get surprised when people compare it to slavery because, oh, well, they got their education paid for. You don't think forced labor, indentured servitude were given the
Dude.
tools and ability
Okay.
to learn a trade?
Ralph,
They were
check
given
this
the
out.
ability to learn a trade so that they could help the the people that owned them. That's
Ralph,
why.
check this out.
Your equipment, your schooling, everything was office equipment. It was all to edify and enrich the NCAA as a system. I don't that makes me sound like a crazy lib. It is what it is. The fact of the matter is everyone got rich except for the labor force.
Yep. Dude, my freshman year when I was at Oregon. So before you play a game, before you do anything, they take you we practiced for a few days, then we had a meeting that night. It was a compliance meeting. Everybody has to sign these papers, all of this stuff, like to be, like the paperwork to be eligible, and the NCAA governed. And I remember my freshman year, mind you, I'm 18 years old, and I have no idea about the legalities of things and everything. But they said that, yeah, you guys are going to sign this paper. The NCAA is going to be able to use your name, image, and likeness in perpetuity. Blah blah blah. Just glanced over it. Me being the questioning man that I am, even at 18, I was like, okay, cool. I don't want to sign that paper. I said I did not want to sign that. I was like, this makes no sense. Why would they own my name, image, and likeness in perpetuity? Perpetuity means forever.
Right.
And they were like, well, you have to sign the paper. I'm not signing the paper. Well, if you can't sign it, if you don't sign the paper, you can't play. They had to call my parents. We had to call the compliance department. Bro, I ran this all the way up. I had no clue. I just knew it was wrong. And they were like, brothers, you cannot play if you do not sign this paper, is what we got to. And so I signed the paper. But I knew it was wrong in the moment. I just didn't have a choice. I mean, I guess I
Right.
did have a choice to not play college football, but what kind of choice is that?
Right. Right. And so it's very possible that we move into the direction of what baseball has going on, and people will tell you there is no interest at all in minor league baseball. But you think the NFL is going to help the NCAA get more popular? They're already putting games on Saturdays.
Well,
Like,
now they're going to schedule with the college football to try to, because here's the thing, the NFL at least, because I was talking to somebody who worked at Nike about this, about why the NFL just throws the bird to the NBA, because them adding this 18th game that's going to happen, the NFL is either going to have to back the season up a week, start a week earlier, so start before Labor Day, or they're going to have to start, or they're going to have to finish a week later, which then, what is the week after the Super Bowl, Ralph? Or 2 weeks
all-star
after?
game.
Yep, All Star
All-star
game.
game. Yeah.
Yep, the All Star game is the week after. The NBA already moved the All Star game once. It moved it from before the Super Bowl, like that weekend before the
Yeah.
Super Bowl, to they moved it back now after the Super Bowl so they can have their own weekend so football's finished. Well, the NFL adding the 18th game, they've already taken Christmas. Like they just stomp on the NBA. But at least with the NFL, I mean, with college football, the NFL actually has a vested interest in the players and a relationship with the NCAA, because they want the top players out of college to be huge stars. So then when they go to the draft, the fans can be excited, know who the player that's where the relationship
They
is.
want that. They want that in theory, but if it comes down to bigger stars entering the NFL or a bigger paycheck from the TV payouts, they pick TV every time. Which brings us to our next topic, the
Oh,
ACC
okay.
doing the
So,
same thing to high school
Ralph,
football.
okay, so tell me about these games, okay? I'm gonna list some
Okay.
games to you. Kennesaw State at Wake Forest on August 29th. How does the Colgate at Syracuse? So you're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, no big deal. Florida State at Virginia. Louisville said that all weird. I said that like the Jacksonville head coach Duval. um,
Oh,
um,
God.
Louisville at Miami.
That's
Actually,
one
I
of the
gotta
biggest
make it short
ACC
about that
games
one.
of the year.
North Carolina at Cal, Cal at Virginia Tech. Damn, they back to back weeks. Um, North Carolina at Syracuse, Clemson at Louisville, Florida State at NC State, Georgia at Georgia Tech. Those all sound like good football games, except for the first two, right?
Yep. Yep. No, that's 7 great football games, the last 7.
They're all on Fridays, Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
All of those games are on Fridays. So the ACC is doing what the Pac 12 did and was like, hey, we'll get people to watch our games on Fridays. But the ratings say that people are not going to watch those games on Friday, not nearly at the level that they would watch them on Saturday. So if you do 2 million on a Friday, you've done a great thing. That's like 4 million on a Saturday. 4 million plus, actually 4 maybe 5 million on a Saturday. So the ACC is watering down its product, the availability, and now like so now I got to choose between going to a big time high school football game and watching Florida State at Virginia.
And look at Louisville. Louisville's got their game against Miami and their game against Clemson both on Fridays. That means that if Louisville comes out and they're on a heater next year, that you've eliminated their 2 best opportunities to get college game day.
Damn.
And the ESPN is who drove this decision to put these games on Friday anyway.
Yep. Yeah.
It's just
Same
a
thing with Georgia,
reinforcing
Georgia
that
Tech.
yeah, this is a second class citizen league. ESPN and the ACC are collaborating to make sure everybody knows that you're going to have Bill Belichick twice on Friday nights.
Who's going to watch it? Because the see here's the other problem is the recruiting problem. Kids are playing on Fridays and you can't even get them on campus to your games on
Right,
Fridays.
right.
This is why I hate Friday night games. I understand that they exist for a reason, but these big time, but all of these ACC games on Friday is bad for the conference.
Well, so let's say you're Cal Berkeley, right? So you're Cal. You are a prestigious academic institution. You don't recruit nationally in the way that Stanford recruits nationally, but you do get who you can,
Yeah.
right? You've gotten kids from the southeast, and they've been
Hey,
some of
you
your
just
best
got
players.
Jaren Kiwi Sapatuatelli out
Yeah,
of
they got
Hawaii.
him out of Hawaii. Like they recruit nationally. Cal does.
Yeah.
Now you have the opportunity to go out to North Carolina, which is a second tier football state as far as high school football. They got a lot of really good options, right?
Yeah.
You get the opportunity to go out to North Carolina because you had to join up with the ACC, and you say to yourself, well, at least on that Friday night we can get our coaches out to some games to see if we can't boost our recruiting profile,
Mm-hmm.
convince some people to move out to the Bay. No, you can't, because your game,
So you actually wasted a trip to the damn East Coast.
right?
So
Because
now
your
you got
game
to
against
go see the
Virginia Tech,
kid at school on Thursday instead of actually. But then you're not even going to see him at school on Thursday because you got to be at practice.
yeah, and you're not, and yeah, and then your school week has an interruption because then you got to travel on a Wednesday instead of a Friday because you're playing on Friday. It's I don't know. I've never liked Friday. I've always been against Friday games.
Me too.
I think Saturday is for college football, but the ACC intentionally doing. Well, I mean, we this used to be the Pac-12 apostles. We watched a conference fall apart. To watch the ACC do this, fascinating. But they're also doing it on the heels of signing or essentially like locking in with ESPN until 2036.
Yes, exactly. All right, final thing up. So the Michigan Wolverines, they have now gone on the offensive against the NCAA with the Connor Stallions lawsuits and accusations and everything. They're going on the offensive and they're saying, you know what? We did some of what you said, but not all of it. So we don't want no heavy punishment. We are going to, and I love this. I think that you